My heart stopped the first time I saw him there, leaning against my locker with a single daisy in his hand. His broad shoulders slouched like he was carrying the weight of the world. Ethan Caldwell, the golden boy quarterback who'd made my freshman year a living hell, was waiting for me. Jamie Harper, the quiet kid he'd once shoved into a locker. The hallway was empty, but my pulse roared like a crowd at a Friday night game. It was 7:15 a.m. Too early for the bustle of Jefferson High. But there he was, his Letterman jacket slung over one arm, his hazel eyes catching mine with an intensity that made me want to run. I couldn't. My sneakers squeaked on the linoleum as I approached. My sketchbook clutched like a shield. "What do you want, Ethan?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. He flinched, and for a second, I saw something in his face: guilt. Maybe. Or something softer. Something that didn't belong to the boy who'd taunted me 2 years ago. "Jamie," he said, his voice low, almost a whisper. I brought this for you." He held out the daisy, its petals trembling slightly in his grip. I stared at it, then at him, my mind racing back to the jeers, the shoves, the way his friends laughed when he called me freak in the cafeteria. I wanted to slap the flower out of his hand, but my fingers betrayed me, taking it instead. It was soft, delicate, and completely out of place in the hands of someone like him. "Why?" I demanded, my throat tight. "Why are you doing this?" He looked down, his jaw working like he was chewing on words he couldn't spit out. "I was wrong," he said finally. "Back then, I'm sorry." Sorry. The word hung between us, fragile as the daisy in my hand. I didn't know what to say, so I turned and walked away, the flower burning a hole in my pocket all day. By lunch, I'd convinced myself it was a prank, some cruel new game to humiliate me. But the next morning, he was there again, this time with a sprig of lavender, his eyes pleading for something I wasn't ready to give. Jefferson High wasn't a place for second chances. It was a small-town school in upstate New York, where everyone knew your business and held grudges like heirlooms. I'd learned that the hard way as the only openly gay kid in my grade. Freshman year, I was an easy target: skinny, artsy, always doodling in my sketchbook instead of throwing a football. Ethan and his crew had zeroed in on me like I was a deer in hunting season. It wasn't just the name-calling or the shoulder checks in the halls. It was the way they made me feel like I didn't belong, like I was a mistake in their perfect playbook. By sophomore year, I'd built walls higher than the school's bleachers. I kept my head down, my sketches private, and my heart locked tight. My best friend, Mia, was my only lifeline, a fierce girl with purple-streaked hair who'd cuss out anyone who looked at me wrong. "You're too good for this dump," she'd say, flipping through my drawings of cityscapes and starry skies. I wanted to believe her, but every day at Jefferson felt like surviving a war zone. So when Ethan started showing up at my locker, it wasn't just confusing, it was disorienting, like the ground had shifted under my feet. By the third morning, he'd brought a sunflower, its bright petals mocking the gray October sky outside. "You don't have to take it," he said, his voice steadier now. "But I'm going to keep showing up until you believe me." "Believe what?" I snapped, my patience fraying. "That you're suddenly a saint. You think flowers erase what you did." His face fell, but he didn't back down. "No, I know they don't. But I'm trying. Jamie, I'm trying to make it right." I took the sunflower, mostly to shut him up, but also because a tiny, stupid part of me wanted to believe him. That part scared me more than anything. Mia was waiting for me at lunch, her eyes narrowing as I slid into the cafeteria seat across from her. "Spill," she said, pointing a fry at me. "Why do you look like you've seen a ghost?" I told her everything, Ethan. The flowers. The apologies. Her jaw dropped, then snapped shut. "He's playing you," she said flatly. "Guys like that don't change. He's probably got a bet going with his buddies." I nodded, wanting to agree. But the memory of Ethan's eyes raw, unguarded, kept nagging at me. "Maybe," I said, picking at my sandwich. "But he seems different." "Different?" Mia snorted. "He's a jock. Jamie. They're all the same. You're not falling for this, are you?" "No," I lied. But the sunflower in my backpack felt heavier than ever. That afternoon, I stayed late in the art room, working on a painting for the fall showcase. The canvas was a mess of blues and grays, a stormy cityscape that mirrored the chaos in my head. I didn't hear the door open until Ethan's voice broke the silence. "That's incredible," he said, standing in the doorway, his hands shoved in his pockets. I froze, paintbrush hovering. "What are you doing here?" "I saw the light on," he said, stepping closer. "I wanted to see what you were working on." "Why do you care?" I asked, my voice sharp enough to cut. "Because I see you now," he said quietly. "I didn't before. And I'm sorry it took me so long." His words hit like a punch, stealing my breath. I wanted to yell, to tell him to leave. But something in his voice, something real, kept me silent. He didn't stay long, just left another flower, a violet this time, on the table before slipping out. I stared at it for a long time, wondering what the hell was happening to me. The rest of the week blurred into a strange rhythm. Every morning, Ethan was there, a new flower in hand carnations, daisies, even a sprig of rosemary one day, its scent clinging to my fingers. Each time, he'd say something small, careful, like he was testing the waters. "I like your jacket," or "You're really good at art." I'd mumble a response, take the flower, and walk away, my heart a tangled mess of anger and curiosity. By Friday, the whispers started. Kids noticed Ethan at my locker, their eyes darting between us and the halls. "What's Caldwell doing with the art kid?" I overheard in gym, the words laced with suspicion. I kept my head down, but the attention burned. Mia was relentless, warning me every day to stay sharp. "He's up to something," she insisted. "Don't let him get in your head." But he was already there. I couldn't stop replaying his words, his apologies, the way his hands shook slightly when he handed me the flowers. I started sketching him in secret, rough lines capturing the curve of his jaw, the way his hair fell over his eyes. I hated myself for it, but the drawings were honest, pulling out feelings I didn't want to name. Saturday morning, I went to the town library to escape, burying myself in art books. The quiet was a relief, the smell of old pages grounding me. I was flipping through a book on Impressionism when Ethan appeared, sliding into the seat across from me. "Hey," he said, his voice soft but startling in the silence. I slammed the book shut. "Are you following me now?" "No," he said quickly, his cheeks reddening. "I come here sometimes. Saw you and thought I'd say hi." "Hi," I said flatly, waiting for him to leave. He didn't. Instead, he pulled out a worn paperback from his bag, The Catcher in the Rye. I raised an eyebrow. "You read?" He laughed. A low, nervous sound. Yeah, I read. Not just playbooks. We sat there for a while. Not talking much. Just sharing the quiet. It was weirdly comfortable. And that scared me. When I got up to leave, he handed me a forget-me-not. Its tiny blue petals bright against the library's dim light. For you, he said, then walked away before I could respond. Monday brought a new kind of tension. Ethan's teammates were at their lockers when I arrived, their laughter stopping cold as I approached. Ethan was there, holding a marigold, his face tight as he ignored their stares. Morning, Jamie, he said, louder than usual, like he wanted them to hear. I took the flower, my face burning. Thanks, I muttered, hurrying off. Behind me, I heard one of his friends, Tyler, the worst of them, snicker. What's this? Caldwell. You switching teams? The others laughed, but Ethan didn't. I didn't look back to see his face, but I could feel the weight of his silence. At lunch, Mia was fuming. They're talking about you too, she said, slamming her tray down. Tyler's telling everyone Ethan's gone soft. This is bad. Jamie, you need to shut this down. I'm not doing anything. I protested, but my voice sounded weak even to me. I didn't tell her about the library, about the forget-me-not pressed between the pages of my sketchbook. I didn't tell her how I'd stayed up late, staring at it, wondering what Ethan wanted from me. That afternoon, I found a note tucked into my locker, written in Ethan's messy scrawl, "Meet me at the bleachers after school. Please." My stomach twisted. Mia's warnings echoed in my head, but so did Ethan's voice, soft and earnest in the library. I told myself I was going to confront him, to demand answers. But deep down, I knew it was more than that. The bleachers were empty when I got there, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the football field. Ethan was waiting at the top, his hands in his pockets, his expression unreadable. You came, he said, like he hadn't expected me to. What do you want, Ethan? I asked, climbing up to meet him. No more flowers. No more notes. Just tell me what this is. He looked out at the field, his jaw tight. I'm not who I was back then, he said finally. I was a coward. Jamie. I went along with Tyler and the others because it was easier than standing up to them. But I hated it. I hated myself. I crossed my arms, trying to hold on to my anger. So why now? Why me? He turned to face me, his eyes searching mine. Because I see you now. Not just the kid I hurt, but you. Your art. Your quiet strength. The way you don't let this place break you. I'm trying to be better, and I want you to know I mean it. His words hit hard, cracking the walls I'd built. I wanted to believe him, but the scars from freshman year still ached. I don't trust you, I said, my voice shaking. Not yet. I know, he said, nodding. But I'm not giving up. He handed me a rose, its thorns carefully trimmed, and walked away. I stood there, the petals soft against my fingers, feeling like I was standing on the edge of something I couldn't name. The rose stayed on my desk that night, its scent filling my room as I sketched furiously, trying to make sense of Ethan's words. My pencil traced the lines of his face, the way his eyes softened when he looked at me. I tore the page out, crumpled it, then smoothed it back out, hating how much space he was taking up in my head. At school, the rumors grew louder. By midweek, kids were openly staring, whispering as I passed. Ethan didn't stop, though. Every morning, a new flower lilies, daisies, a sprig of jasmine, each one paired with a quiet apology or a small compliment. "You're braver than I ever was," he said one day, handing me a tulip. I didn't respond, but I kept the flower. Mia was losing patience. "He's turning you into a spectacle," she said at lunch, her voice low but fierce. "People are talking. Jamie. They're saying he's, you know." She didn't finish, but I knew what she meant. The idea that Ethan might be questioning himself, might be like me, was too big to process. "I don't care what they say," I lied. But the truth was, the whispers were getting to me. I'd spent years trying to be invisible, and now I was the center of attention. Worse, I didn't know what Ethan wanted. Was this guilt, pity, or something else? Thursday brought trouble. I was heading to art class when Tyler and two of Ethan's teammates cornered me in the hall. "So, Harper," Tyler sneered, leaning in close. "What's with you and Caldwell? He your boyfriend now?" I froze, my heart pounding. "Leave me alone," I said, trying to push past. But Tyler blocked my way. "Funny how the freak gets all the attention," he said, his voice loud enough to draw a crowd. "What's he see in you? Huh?" Before I could answer, Ethan appeared, shoving Tyler back with a force that made the crowd gasp. "Back off," he growled, his eyes blazing. "You don't talk to him like that." Tyler laughed, but it was nervous. "What's your deal? Man, you're acting weird." Ethan didn't answer, just stood between me and Tyler, his fists clenched. The bell rang, and the crowd scattered, but not before I saw the look on Tyler's face. Anger. Yes, but also something like betrayal. "You okay?" Ethan asked, turning to me. His voice was softer now, but his hands were still shaking. I nodded, unable to speak. He didn't give me a flower that time, just a look that said more than words could. I walked away, my chest tight, wondering how things had gotten so complicated. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Ethan standing up to Tyler, the way he'd put himself between us without hesitating. It didn't erase the past, but it made me question everything. I pulled out my sketchbook. Flipping through the drawings of him, I tried to hide, even from myself. They weren't just studies of his face, they were questions, each line asking who he really was. The next morning, he was at my locker with a peony, its pink petals vibrant against the dull metal. "I'm sorry about yesterday," he said. "Tyler's an idiot. I should have shut him down sooner." "Why didn't you?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. He looked away, his jaw tight. "Because I was scared. Not of him, but of what this means. For me." My breath caught. "What does it mean?" He didn't answer, just handed me the peony and walked away. I stood there, the flower heavy in my hand, feeling like I was falling into something I wasn't ready for. By Friday, the school was buzzing. Someone had scrawled "Caldwell's got a crush" on the bathroom wall, and the rumors were no longer whispers. Ethan's teammates were icing him out, their laughter colder, their glances sharper. I saw him in the cafeteria, sitting alone for the first time, his tray untouched. I wanted to go to him, to say something, but Mia's voice stopped me. "Don't," she said, grabbing my arm. "You're not responsible for fixing him, Jamie. He made his choices." But had he? I wasn't sure anymore. The Ethan I'd known freshman year was a bully, a follower. The Ethan now was different, vulnerable, trying to make amends in a way that was costing him. I didn't know what to do with that. After school, I found him at the bleachers again, his head in his hands. "You don't have to keep doing this," I said, sitting a few rows away. "The flowers, the apologies. People are talking. It's not worth it." He looked up, his eyes red-rimmed. "It's worth it to me," he said. "You're worth it." My heart stuttered, but I shook my head. "You don't know me, Ethan." "Not really." "Then let me," he said, his voice raw. "Give me a chance to know you." I didn't answer, but I didn't leave either. We sat there as the sun dipped below the horizon. The silence between us heavy with possibilities I was too scared to face. The weekend gave me space to breathe, but not to think. Ethan's words, "You worth it," looped in my head, a melody I couldn't shake. I spent Saturday in my room, sketching until my hands ached, trying to draw the chaos out of my heart. By Sunday, I'd filled half my sketchbook with his face, each version softer, more human than the last. I hated how much I wanted to believe him. Monday morning, he was there again, this time with a daffodil, its yellow petals bright against the gray lockers. I meant what I said, he told me, his voice steady despite the circles under his eyes. "I'm not giving up." I took the flower, my fingers brushing his for a split second. The contact sent a jolt through me, and I pulled back, muttering a thanks before hurrying off. The hallways felt different now, like everyone was watching, waiting for me to slip up. I kept the daffodil in my bag, hidden but close, a secret I wasn't ready to share. Mia dragged me to the school's fall festival that evening, a chaotic mix of booths, music, and strung-up lights in the parking lot. "You need to have fun," she insisted, handing me a caramel apple. "Forget about Caldwell for one night." I tried, but then I saw him across the lot, manning the football team's dunk tank. His shirt clung to him, soaked from a recent dunk, and kids were laughing, tossing balls to keep him in the water. He was smiling, but it didn't reach his eyes. When he saw me, he waved, a small, hesitant gesture that made my chest ache. "God, he's pathetic," Mia muttered, but I didn't respond. I watched him climb out of the tank, shaking water from his hair, and something in me shifted. He wasn't the untouchable Jock anymore. He was just Ethan. Later, I wandered to the edge of the festival, needing air. Ethan found me near the ticket booth, holding a single poppy. "You look like you needed this," he said, offering it with a shy smile. I took it, my defenses crumbling. "Why are you doing this, Ethan? Really?" He hesitated, then stepped closer, his voice low. "Because I see you, Jamie. And every time I do, I feel something I can't explain. It scares me, but it's real." My breath hitched. I wanted to push him away, to hold on to my anger. But his honesty was disarming. "You hurt me," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You made me feel like nothing." "I know," he said, his eyes glistening. "And I'll spend as long as it takes making it right." We stood there, the festival noise fading into the background, the poppy trembling in my hand. For the first time, I didn't walk away. The next few days were a blur of flowers and stolen glances. Ethan kept showing up, each gesture chipping away at my walls. By Thursday, the rumors had exploded. Someone posted a photo of us at the festival on the school's unofficial Instagram, captioned, Caldwell's new game plan. The comments were brutal. A mix of slurs and speculation that made my stomach churn. Ethan didn't back down. He started sitting closer to me in classes we shared, ignoring the glares from his teammates. In history, he passed me a notious sketch of a flower, clumsy but earnest, with the words "I'm still here" scrawled beside it. I tucked it into my sketchbook, my heart racing. Mia was furious. "You're letting him in," she said at lunch, her voice tight. "After everything he did, you're just, what? Falling for him?" "I don't know," I admitted, my voice small. "He's different now. I think he's trying to figure himself out." She shook her head. "You're gonna get hurt, Jamie. Guys like him don't change overnight." But I wasn't so sure anymore. That afternoon, I found Ethan in the art room, looking at my painting from last week. "This is you," he said, pointing to the stormy cityscape. "All this chaos, but there's beauty in it." I blushed, caught off guard. "You don't know anything about art." "Maybe not," he said, grinning. "But I know what I feel when I look at it." He left a chrysanthemum on the table, and I didn't stop him when he brushed my shoulder on his way out. Friday's football game was the breaking point. The whole school was there, the stands packed with screaming fans. Ethan was on the field, his jersey gleaming under the lights. But I could tell he was off. His passes were sloppy, his focus elsewhere. When Tyler tripped him during a play, the crowd didn't notice. But I did. After the game, I waited by the bleachers, my heart pounding. Ethan emerged from the locker room, his hair damp, his expression heavy. "You were here," he said, surprised. "I wanted to see you play," I said, then hesitated. "You okay?" He shrugged, but his eyes told a different story. "Tyler's been on me all week. Says I'm letting the team down." "Because of me?" I asked, dreading the answer. "No," he said firmly. "Because of me. Because I'm done being who they want me to be." He handed me a zinnia, its bright colors a stark contrast to the dark field. "Come with me tomorrow," he said. "There's a place I want to show you." I nodded before I could stop myself, the zinnia warm in my hand. And for the first time, I felt like I was choosing something instead of running from it. Saturday morning, I met Ethan at the edge of town, where the road dipped into a quiet valley. He was waiting by his beat-up pickup, a nervous smile on his face and a single iris in his hand. "Ready?" he asked, handing me the flower. I nodded, clutching my sketchbook as I climbed in. We drove in silence, the radio humming softly, the countryside blurring past. He took me to a hidden clearing by a creek, the water sparkling under the morning sun. "I used to come here when things got bad," he said, sitting on a flat rock. "It's where I think." I sat beside him, the iris tucked into my sketchbook. "What do you think about?" He looked at the water, his voice low. "Who I am. Who I want to be. How I messed up with you." The air felt heavy, charged with something unspoken. I wanted to ask what he meant, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I opened my sketchbook and started drawing the creek, the lines grounding me. Ethan watched, quiet but present, his shoulder brushing mine. "You're good at that," he said after a while. "Making something beautiful out of nothing." "It's not nothing," I said, my pencil pausing. "It's just seeing what's there." He looked at me then, his eyes searching. "I'm trying to see what's there, Jamie. With you." My heart raced, but I didn't look away. For the first time, I let myself see him tune out the bully. Not the jock, but the boy sitting beside me, raw and uncertain. Back at school, the tension was unbearable. Ethan's teammates were openly hostile now, their comments cutting deeper. Tyler cornered him in the locker room. I heard about it from Mia, who heard it from someone else. "You're throwing everything away for that kid," Tyler had said, his voice loud enough to echo. Ethan didn't deny it. By Tuesday, the flowers stopped. I waited at my locker, my stomach twisting, but Ethan didn't show. I told myself it was for the best, that Mia was right, that this was always going to end badly. But the absence of him of the flowers, the apologies, the quiet moments left a hole I hadn't expected. I found him at lunch, sitting alone again, his eyes distant. "No flower today?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. He looked up, startled. "I thought, maybe you were done with me." "Done with you?" I echoed, sitting across from him. "You're the one who stopped showing up." He rubbed his neck, sheepish. "I got scared. People are talking, and I didn't want to make things worse for you." "Worse for me?" I laughed, bitter. "You think I care what they say? I've been dealing with that since freshman year." He flinched, but didn't look away. "I'm sorry, Jamie. I don't know how to do this." "Do what?" I pressed, my voice shaking. He leaned forward, his voice barely audible. "Feel this way about you." The words hung between us, heavy and real. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded, my heart pounding. He reached into his bag and pulled out a camellia, its petals soft and pink. "I didn't forget," he said, handing it to me. I took it, my fingers trembling. "Don't stop," I said, the words slipping out before I could stop them. The rest of the week was a tightrope. Ethan was back at my locker every morning, his flowers a quiet rebellion against the school's judgment. The rumors didn't stop, but they started to feel less important. We started talking more in the art room, at the bleachers, in stolen moments between classes. He told me about his dad, a former football star who pushed him to be perfect. I told him about my mom, who worked double shifts but always left me notes in my lunch. One day, he asked to see my sketchbook. I hesitated, then handed it over, my heart in my throat. He flipped through the pages, lingering on the drawings of him. "These are amazing," he said, his voice soft. "Is this how you see me?" "Sometimes," I admitted, my face burning. He smiled, a real one, and handed me a hyacinth. "I'm glad," he said. Friday's game was different. Ethan played like he had something to prove. His passes sharp, his focus unbreakable. The crowd roared, but I only saw him, his eyes finding mine in the stands. After, he found me by the bleachers, a gladiolus in his hand. "You were there," he said, grinning. "I told you I would be," I said, taking the flower. He stepped closer, his voice low. "Can I walk you home?" I nodded, my heart racing. We walked through the quiet streets, the gladiolus between us, and for the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone. Walking home with Ethan felt like stepping into a different world. The streets of our small town were quiet, the streetlights casting soft glows on the pavement. He talked about football, about the pressure to win, but also about the books he read in secret, the ones his dad would scoff at. I told him about my dream to study art in New York City, to escape the suffocating weight of Jefferson. The gladiolus in my hand felt like a promise, fragile but growing stronger. When we reached my house, he stopped at the gate, his hands in his pockets. "Thanks for letting me walk you," he said, his voice shy. "Thanks for asking," I replied, my smile small but real. He handed me another Flora daisy, simple and unassuming. "See you tomorrow." I nodded, watching him walk away, the daisy warm in my hand. Inside, I pressed it into my sketchbook, next to the others, a collection of moments I was starting to cherish. The next week was a turning point. Ethan started eating lunch with me and Mia, ignoring the glares from his teammates. Mia was skeptical, but she softened when she saw him laugh at one of her sarcastic jokes. "He's not terrible," she admitted later, grudgingly. "But I'm still watching him." Ethan's flowers kept coming gain months. Roses, a sprig of lilac each one paired with a quiet moment that felt like a gift. We started sharing more, not just apologies or compliments, but pieces of ourselves. He told me about the time he broke his arm in middle school, how his dad called him weak for crying. I told him about the first time I realized I was gay, how I'd hidden it from everyone but Mia. One afternoon, in the art room, he asked to try painting. I handed him a brush, laughing as he fumbled with the colors. "You're hopeless," I teased, guiding his hand to blend the blues. "Not hopeless," he said, his eyes meeting mine. "Just learning." His hand lingered over mine, and I didn't pull away. The air between us crackled, and for a moment, I thought he might lean in. But he didn't, just smiled and went back to his terrible painting, leaving me breathless. The rumors didn't stop, but they changed. Instead of mocking, some kids started asking questions, curious rather than cruel. A girl in my art class, Sarah, pulled me aside one day. "Is it true about you and Ethan?" she asked, her voice kind. "You guys seem happy." I didn't know how to answer. Were we happy? I was still scared, still waiting for the other shoe to drop. But with Ethan, I felt seen in a way I never had before. That Friday, he asked me to the creek again. We sat by the water, the air crisp with early November chill. He was quieter than usual, his hands fidgeting with a blade of grass. "Jamie," he said finally, "I need to tell you something." My heart sank, expecting the worst. "What?" He took a deep breath, his eyes fixed on the creek. I think I'm falling for you." The world stopped. I stared at him, my mind racing, my heart pounding. "You're what?" "I know it's crazy," he said, his voice shaking. "I know I don't deserve you, not after what I did. But every time I'm with you, I feel like I'm finally being honest. With myself. With you." I couldn't speak, couldn't move. He reached into his bag and pulled out a sunflower, its petals bright even in the fading light. "I don't expect you to feel the same," he said, "but I needed you to know." I took the sunflower, my hands trembling. "Ethan." I didn't know how to finish. I was scared, but I was also tired of running from what I felt. "You don't have to say anything," he said, standing. "Just think about it." He left me there, the sunflower heavy in my hands, my heart a storm of fear and hope. The next day, I couldn't focus. I sketched the creek, the sunflower, Ethan's face, trying to make sense of his words. Falling for me. It was too much. Too fast. but it also felt like the missing piece of a puzzle I'd been trying to solve. At school, I found him at the bleachers, his head in his hands. "You okay?" I asked, sitting beside him. He looked up, his eyes tired. "Tyler's telling everyone. About me. About us." My stomach dropped. "What did you say?" "Nothing," he said, his voice bitter. "What could I say? He's not wrong." I reached for his hand, my fingers brushing his. "You don't have to go through this alone," I said, my voice steady despite the fear in my chest. He looked at me, his eyes softening. "You mean that?" I nodded, squeezing his hand. "Yeah, I do." He handed me a violet, its petals soft and fragile. "I don't know what's next," he said, "but I wanted to be with you." I didn't have all the answers, but in that moment, I knew I wanted it too. The violet stayed with me all weekend, pressed between the pages of my sketchbook like a bookmark for something new. Ethan's confession had cracked something open in me, a hope I hadn't dared to feel before. But it came with fear of what this meant. For him. For me. For us in a town like ours. Monday morning. He was at my locker with a marigold, his smile tentative but warm. "You didn't run," he said, handing it to me. "Not yet," I teased, but my heart wasn't in it. I was still processing, still scared, but I couldn't deny the pull between us. We started spending more time together, not just at school, but outside it. He'd meet me at the library, the creek, even my house when Mom was working late. We'd talk for hours, about everything and nothing, his dreams of college beyond football, my plans to paint the world. The flowers kept coming, each one a quiet promise: roses, daisies, a sprig of lavender that made my room smell like summer. But the world wasn't kind. Tyler and his crew amped up their attacks, their words sharper, their glares colder. They didn't just target Ethan, they came for me too. One day, I found "freak" scrawled across my locker in marker, the letters jagged and angry. Ethan saw it before I could wipe it away, his face darkening. "I'll handle it," he said, his voice low. "Don't," I said, grabbing his arm. "It's not worth it." "It's worth it to me," he said, echoing his words from weeks ago. He didn't confront Tyler, but he started walking me to every class, his presence a shield against the hate. Mia noticed the change in me. "You're different," she said one day, her voice softer than usual. "Happier." "Is it him?" I nodded, unable to hide my smile. "He's trying, Mia. Really trying." She sighed, but her eyes were warm. "Just be careful. Okay? I don't want you hurt." I promised I would. But deep down, I knew I was already in too deep. Thanksgiving break brought a strange kind of peace. Ethan invited me to his house, a small ranch-style place on the edge of town. His dad was at a game, his mom cooking in the kitchen, humming softly. She welcomed me like I was family, piling my plate with food and asking about my art. Ethan watched me the whole time, his smile quiet but proud. Later, we sat on his porch, sharing a blanket against the November chill. He handed me a chrysanthemum, its petals bright against the gray sky. "I told my mom about you," he said, his voice low. "Not everything, but enough." "What did she say?" I asked, my heart pounding. "She said I'm lucky to know someone like you," he said, his eyes meeting mine. I blushed, looking away. "I'm the lucky one," I mumbled. And he laughed, the sound warm and real. That night, he kissed me. It was soft, hesitant, under the porch light with the chrysanthemum between us. My heart exploded, fear and joy crashing together. I kissed him back, my hands finding his. And for a moment, the world was just us. Back at school, the air was heavier. The rumors had solidified into something uglier. And Ethan's teammates were done pretending to be civil. During gym, Tyler accidentally tripped me during a game, his smirk saying it was no accident. Ethan was there in a second, helping me up, his eyes blazing. Say it to my face. Tyler, he said, his voice deadly calm. Tyler laughed, but it was forced. You're a joke, Caldwell. Throwing away your future for him. Ethan didn't flinch. My future's mine to choose, he said, then took my hand and walked me out, leaving Tyler speechless. The school disciplined Tyler, but it didn't stop the whispers. Ethan didn't care. He kept showing up, kept bringing flowers, kept choosing me. And I started choosing him back, letting myself trust, letting myself hope. One afternoon, in the art room, I showed him a new painting, a portrait of him. Not the jock or the bully, but the boy I was falling for. His eyes soft and his smile real. This is how I see you, I said, my voice shaking. He stared at it, his throat working. I don't deserve this, he said, but he pulled me into a hug, his arms warm and steady. Yes, you do, I whispered, and I meant it. Winter came fast, the air sharp with frost, but Ethan's flowers never stopped. Each morning, he was there with a new bloom, poinsettias, amaryllis, even a sprig of holly one day, its red berries bright against the snow. They were small acts of defiance against the cold, against the hate that still lingered in the halls. We were a team now, facing the stairs together, our hands brushing in the hallways, our smiles a quiet rebellion. But the world wasn't done testing us. In December, the school board caught wind of the rumors, spurred by an anonymous complaint likely Tyler's doing. They called a meeting, questioning Ethan's behavior and its impact on team morale. It was a thinly veiled attack, and it hit him hard. They're trying to bench me, he told me at the creek, his voice tight. My dad's furious. Says I'm ruining everything. I took his hand, my fingers cold against his. You're not ruining anything. You're being you. He looked at me, his eyes searching. What if I don't know who that is yet? Then we'll figure it out together, I said, and I meant it. The final game of the season was a turning point. The stands were packed, the air electric with anticipation. Ethan played like his life depended on it. Every pass a statement, every touchdown a defiance. I was in the crowd, my sketchbook filled with drawings of him, not just the player, but the boy who'd changed for me, for himself. When the whistle blew, Jefferson won, and the crowd erupted. Ethan found me in the chaos, pulling me into a hug that felt like home. I did it for you, he whispered, his breath warm against my ear. You did it for you, I said, smiling. He laughed, handing me a rose, its petals red against the snowy field. Maybe both. Spring brought graduation, a new beginning. Ethan got a scholarship to a college with a decent football team, but he was more excited about their literature program. I got accepted to an art school in New York, my dream within reach. We stood together at the ceremony, our hands linked under our robes, the flowers he'd given me pressed into a book I carried everywhere. The last day at Jefferson. He was at my locker one final time, a sunflower in his hand. "This is for the road," he said, his smile soft. "Wherever it takes us." I took it, my heart full. "You're not getting rid of me that easy," I said, and he laughed, pulling me close. We'd faced the worst hate, fear, our own doubts, and come out stronger. Ethan wasn't the boy who'd bullied me anymore, and I wasn't the kid hiding in the shadows. We'd grown, together, into something real, something worth fighting for. As we walked out of Jefferson for the last time, the sunflower bright between us, I knew this was only the beginning. Love wasn't just the flowers or the apology, yes, it was the choice to keep showing up, to keep trying, to keep seeing each other. And we would, no matter what came next.